Hey everybody, Pandi here of Pandi's Hair Candy and More. If this is your first time stopping by my channel, welcome. If you are already Pandi's peeps, you already know what it gives. Kick back and relax and enjoy this commentary. Tonight I'm going to be coming to you guys with Greenleaf Season 5, Episode 2 review. Tonight's episode is titled The Second Day. So, as you all know, Season 5 of Greenleaf started back up and premiered last week. Last week's episode was fire. I do have the review here on the channel. If you didn't do so on your way in, please make sure you go back and blow dry on that like button for your girl. I greatly appreciate it as it helps with my analytics here on YouTube. Alright, and if you really enjoy the commentary, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It is free 99 after all, it didn't cost you anything. Now, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to jump right into my commentary here and just give you all my observations on what took place in tonight's episode. Greenleaf Season 5, Episode 2, titled The Second Day. So, tonight's episode began with us basically seeing Jacob rummaging around through Mac's old storage locker. Now, we remember from last week, the old secretary from Season 1 had told him about the storage locker. You know, she had never been there before. He had went and paid up an additional 6 months, basically trying to give himself some time to kind of, see what he could find and gather up out of Mac's belongings to just, I guess, try to see what, if anything, he could find to kind of salvage everything that they're losing. Because right now the Greenleafs are in a tough situation. They are losing their church. They're pretty much losing everything, okay? Next we see Grace and Sophia. They're at the hospital. They've apparently been there all night. They're sitting around in the waiting room. They're looking exhausted. And they're trying to see what's going to happen with AJ. So it appears that AJ has actually survived his attempt at taking his own life. A nurse comes out and informs them that, he lost a lot of blood and that he may need a transfusion. Now, for me, that made the hairs on the back of my neck stand up because I'm kind of leaning towards this AJ ain't really Grace's son. This is just my theory. I think that the young man who was killed may have been the real Grace's son. I believe they were both locked up in prison together, but then that's just my theory. We shall see what the season holds for us. But nevertheless, the nurse informs her that, he's in critical condition, he's heavily sedated, he lost a lot of blood, and, he may need a transfusion. That's also going to bring up the possibility that, he may need to get blood from either Grace or Noah. And if that blood type don't match up, that's even further going to solidify my theory. But I digress. Next, we see, back at the Greenleaf Mansion, Bishop is trying to basically convince Lady May that she needs to eat. And he's basically trying to keep it pushing, like move forward with the wedding plans. And Lady May is looking at him like, you can't be for real. Like, our grandson just tried to take his life. All this is on pause. Please. So, Charity walks in, and Lady May goes all the way in on her. Calls her all kind of Judases. Tells her that she needs to be sitting outside somewhere with a dunce cap on. I mean, she went all the way in on Miss Charity. And rightfully so. Like, Charity has totally, I don't know, something in her head, a light bulb has just totally turned permanently off with her with regards to how she doesn't see, or she is completely desensitized to how she has turned her back on the family. Now, granted, I feel like they kind of, low-key treat her wrong, but, I mean, she's way out there. So they go in, she gets onto Charity, she rips her a new one, and, Charity leaves. We then see Zora and Carissa. They're back at I think they have their own place, or either they're staying somewhere on the ground. But next we see them sitting in their residence. They're folding clothes and they're just kind of laughing and chatting, having like a little mother-daughter moment. You know, Zora's a young lady. She's kind of recovered from that dark spell she was in a couple of seasons ago, and they're in a better place. So they're kind of laughing and chatting over Dante and Nikki's issues. And then in walks Jacob with the tackle box, like a fishing tackle box that he apparently got from that storage locker. Meanwhile, we then see Gigi back at the Greenleaf mansion. She receives a call from Darius, and she informs him, you know, he's checking in. He doesn't know anything has happened. So she informs him that AJ just tried to kill himself, and he's like, oh my God, is everything okay? You know, why am I asking, is everything okay? I know you must be traumatized. He's trying to comfort her, and he brings her up to speed on basically what he found out on the young man who lost his life. Because remember, in last week's episode, she asked him to utilize his resources basically to start researching. So something is not quite set well with AJ, with Grace either. But I don't think she's, you know, quite as far left as I am. So they later show Darius show up. He comes to pick her up and they go to take a ride. They go show up at one of the former pastor's house. His name is Cal. He was one of the H&H, Hope and Harmony pastors. He was not very welcoming when he opened the door and seen Grace with Darius, because Darius is a reporter or a journalist, so, you know, he was aware of who he was. He basically tells them that he's sorry they came all this way and to basically leave him alone before slamming the door on them. It's almost like, you know, there's been a gag order or an NDA of some sort put out to where they can't talk about anything that has to do with Bill Whitmore or Hope and Harmony. Okay, so we basically then see Darius and Grace getting ready to leave, and he kind of just chats with her over the fact that Noah's on his way back to town and what that means for them, because I believe that was part of the reason why they didn't work out. He was kind of like still messing around with Noah, but then he had a whole wife. It was just a mess. Y'all know, true Greenleaf fashion. So then we see Sophia calling the boy Dante. Now y'all, in season 1's review, I thought that she was just making out with the boy. I didn't realize that she had actually given up her virginity to him. So this explains why in tonight's episode, she's calling him, leaving all kind of rambling messages on his phone, you know, basically trying to see what he decided to do with him and Nikki. Are they getting back together? Blase, blah, blase, blah. Confused little girl. I thought she was mature enough and had walked away, but apparently she did not. Next, we see Lady May and Bishop down to Mavis' old club, and they looking at starting their new church. But May is not feeling it. She insists on gutting the club from the ground up, or she's out. Now, Bishop, on the other hand, because y'all have to remember, Bishop and Mavis were together first. Some kind of way, Lady May got Bishop from Mavis, but she's always been envious, almost a streak of jealousy towards Mavis ever since, even though she got the man. So, something is not quite up with that. She's basically telling him, he's like, well, we need to discuss this with Mavis first. And she's like, no, we don't. Why? If either we're going to gut this place from the floor up or I'm out. She literally told him that. Next, we see Charity show up to the church. And when I tell you, she got her tail handed to her, oh my God, y'all. She walks into the church and she's greeting everybody. She's all bubbly and God is good. God is good. Praise the Lord. Hallelujah. She walks around to her office, honey. It is completely disheveled. They've got painters in there, her piano, her desk. All of her belongings have been moved out. So she asks one of the assistants, what's going on with my office? And she's like, Pastor Phil, you have to talk to him about it. Basically, Judy done put her out of her office, honey, and she's moving in. She's having it repainted into this bright pink doing everything to just throw it up in her face that you have no power here. Not only am I taking your man, I'm taking your office too, boo. So yeah, that was interesting. Now, back at the hospital, Noah is now there. He greets Grace with a long, loving embrace, and she appears very confused, very just, I can't think of another word but confused. He's like embracing her like he's totally there for her in their connection. And I think she just has a lot of mixed emotions going on, like how you just gonna show back up because of the situation and act like we're supposed to pick up where we left off. No, it don't work like that. Okay? So then we see Jacob and Carissa meeting with her divorce attorney. Now, her divorce attorney is a straight up beast, okay? She is in ruthless beast mode, okay? She is telling him what he ain't gonna get, what he ain't gonna do, who he ain't gonna see, who he ain't getting custody of, blase blah and blase blah. And Jacob, I'ma just need for Jacob to get some type of backbone because he's just going along with it. He kind of pipes up a little bit and says he was hoping to get shared custody, and Carissa's attorney looked over at her and was like, I thought you said this was settled. And Jacob was like, wow, it is. And he went on and signed the paperwork. I think that might be something that he ends up regretting later, but he did. Now, back at the hospital, Noah shares that his wife Isabel has left because, of course, Grace asked about it. Because remember, when she thought they were rekindling their relationship, he was like, no, I'm married. Okay, so he's telling her that he's basically back in town. He's going to be staying with his mom until he finds his own place. He's going to be there as long as he needs to until they kind of figure out what's going on with AJ. Now, the nurse comes out and informs them that AJ does not want to see anyone. He doesn't want to see her, meaning Grace, or him. So they were floored, of course, Next, we see Sophia show up at Zora's crib. They kind of, Zora lets her know, look, I ain't really feeling you because you funny style and you ain't right, but you my cousin. You family, I gotta deal with you. You know what I mean? So she tells her, she wants the music that she gave her when she was in the hospital last time. I think Sophia had a little halfway partial hysterectomy or something like that a couple seasons back, and Zora gave her this music to kind of brighten up her spirits and cheer her up. And so she was saying she wanted to download the same music for AJ. So she goes in there, downloads the music and whatnot, and then they flash to back at the church. Judy shows up to meet with Phil and Charity. Honey, she walks in, she's hanging all off Phil's neck, and the look of disdain was all dripping off of Charity's face, okay, honey? She couldn't hide it if she wanted to. Charity then tells Judy, after all of the little words they exchanged, how she was supposed to research this matter and that matter, Charity straight up tells Judy, you do know that he's only marrying you because your daddy is making him, and that he's still madly in love with me. Judy turns and looks her right in her eyes without missing a beat, honey, and tells her basically, a wise woman moves the F on. Okay? So she let it be known that, honey, I don't care about what you and Phil got going on. It's business. And he will grow to love me. And she walks off. Okay? So Charity's like, wow, you got you a real good Christian woman. And they separate. Phil's looking real stuck on stupid right about there on that scene, y'all. Next, we see Bishop at the house. He's trying to call Mavis's phone. I don't know if Mavis is out of the country or whatever, but it sounds like some foreign voice on the other end of the line trying to understand what Bishop is saying, and then there's this loud music. So I don't know if Mavis is out of the country or what, but honey, nevertheless, Bishop does not reach her. He is unsuccessful. So he hangs up. Next, we see Noah and Grace leaving the hospital, and he tells Grace, that basically he's there to be a family with her and AJ. They then flash back to the house, and Lady May and Grace are sitting on the porch. they're kind of sharing a heartfelt moment. Grace is really hurt by the fact that AJ is refusing to see her. And so, May tries to cheer her up and encourage her by sharing some of the pain and emotions that she went through when her daughter Faith committed suicide. And she also reassures her that even though it's not the same as someone telling you that they don't want to see you at a time like this, she wants her to know that she's there for her. As they're having this bonding moment, Charity pulls up. And I just can't put my finger on what is up with Charity, but something is definitely up with her. So she asks them to help her, tell her what to do. She's contemplating leaving, this, that, and the third. All her little frivolous issues. So Grace looks annoyed, okay, and gets up and walks in the house. Lady May tells her, you know what your problem is? You've never had to deal with any real problems. Like, basically, girl, have several seats. This is not about you. This girl's son just tried to end his life, for crying out loud. Our whole church is being swiped from underneath us. Like, they have pressing issues, and she's just like in her own little bubble. But Charity's always in her own bubble. This is what I'm saying. She has something going on. Next, we see Jacob and Carissa walk back in the house, and disrespectfully, Zora starts questioning them like, so where was the meeting at? Are you guys getting a divorce? Jacob kind of tries to pipe up like, hold up, you don't talk to us like that. And Carissa's just sitting there like, la-di-da, whatever. It was like good cop, bad cop. So then they kind of have clashing words, and Jacob actually gets a little bit of a backbone and starts calling her a druggie because she grabs her pill bottle and starts to pop some pills, and she kind of barks back at him, and they kind of have words, and they're reading each other, and he threatens to go and tell her meaning Zora, exactly what is going on. And she's like, I wish you would, because I'll be down to that police station with that wheel, steadily and yet again threatening to blackmail him with the wheel. Okay? So Sophia then shows up and asks Grace to take the music to AJ. In walks Charity, and as Charity comes in, of course, Sophia exits. Charity approaches Grace about talking. She presents her with some poem she wrote to Eden. Now, Eden was her twin daughter, the one who didn't survive. It's all about how, she wants her to come back to her and how she's in such an emotional whirlwind of pain and she just wants to see her daughter again. And Grace is just like, okay, what is this for and why are you giving it to me now? And she's just like, I just thought that, it would be an opportunity for us to bond so that you can see that I know what you're going through. Grace is infuriated again, like, here you are telling me, someone whose son just tried to take their life, some mess about you and your baby that you never even met, and trying to make this situation about you. Charity got this look on her face like, I don't know, if it's not about me, it ain't about nothing. That's what the look was given, okay? And she stands up and she snatches her poem back and tells her, you and mama deserve each other, and walks off. Now next we see Bishop. He is happily having himself a little conversation with Lady May. He tells her that he's already contacted the contractor. They've already got a time set up for them to come over and do the estimates on getting the place vetted. Now, mind you, he wasn't really, here for it when they first talked and when they went to go visit the club. So she says, well, did you talk to my sister? And he plays it off like, no, we don't need to. And then he begins to appear a bit disoriented about their conversation that they had already had about setting a previous date for their wedding. It's almost given a hint of Alzheimer's disease. And if you've been following the show, we know that Bishop had fell gravely ill one time before, where he was losing his memory and everything was just, he was losing it. It was like some form of Alzheimer's, and I feel like those symptoms are starting to come back on. And Lady May actually notices it. But, she doesn't put too much into it. Next, we see Sophia trying to still get a response from the boy Dante. She calls his phone and somebody finally answers. Problem is, it wasn't him. It was the girl Nikki. And she was looking like very calculated with a grin on her face like, yeah, I got my man back and you are not allowed to call. And she hangs up on her. So then we see Lady May. Marisol walked in and was like, Lady May, you're eating. And she's like, yes, I've been praying for a sign and God finally showed it to me. And I think the sign was that she now knows she got to get it together because Bishop may be falling sick again or, I don't know. That's just my opinion. But nevertheless, she's no longer fasting and drinking the water. She's eating. And Marisol's like, well, let me make you something fresh. That pasta salad is about a week old. She's like, no. This is mine. You can go make something fresh, but I'm eating it. Lady May was like, you better get up out of here. So then we see Jacob. Jacob is out on the grounds, and he has their son, Jacob Jr., who they call Winky. And he's taking him out to fish. And we all know Jacob doesn't really do much with the little boy. They hardly ever show him. But he's out there with that tackle box that he got from Mac's storage locker. And he's like, let's see what kind of lures and baubles he got up in here. I know you probably heard me and your mom arguing earlier when you were taking your nap. I'm sorry. Things are going to get better. And as he's in the tackle box digging, he finds the dang gone wheel. The original wheel. The wheel that superseded the one that they got now. Okay, so then Sophia and Zora. They flash from that to Sophia and Zora. Sophia is chilling and Zora walks up like, did you send a tit pic to Dante? And she's like, no. And she's like, well, you did now. And not only him, everybody else too. And she shows her phone. Apparently, either the boy must have took a picture of her when she was asleep or she low-key did send him a picture. Either way, that girl, she did a revenge porn on little Miss Sophia and basically blasted her picture around to everybody. So it's floating around. Sophia is crushed. Poor thing. Next, we see Grace get a phone call, and it's Cal. The one who slammed the door in their face. The one who told them don't bother him. That one. He just calls Grace, and he says, Grace, this is Cal. She's like, yes. He says, Edenville Lending. She's like, what is that? He says, that's all I'm going to say. And then he tells her, please tell that journalist not to contact me again. We then see Bishop singing and drinking. He's sitting down, listening to some of the old music that he took from out of Mavis's club. And he's just kind of like reminiscing as he's listening to the song. Next, we then see Grace goes back to the hospital. She's sitting in the waiting area. From that scene, the final scene that we see is Jacob showing up at First Lady Skank's house. He knocks on the door. She opens the door. She's shocked and surprised to see him. And she's like, Jacob. She looks around like, what's going on? And he tells her, I need to see Basie. And she says, Basie is dead. And in true Greenleaf fashion, y'all, the episode ended. Why do they always leave us with these cliffhangers, guys? So you all let me know if you watched the episode. Let me know if I missed anything or left anything out. What were y'all's thoughts? Are y'all like me? Do you think this AJ might not really be Grace's son? Let me know. Drop down in the comments and let your girl know what's on your mind. I'm Pandi of Pandi's Hair, Candy, and More. I want to thank you guys so much for taking a moment to stop on over here and listen to my review on Greenleaf Season 5, Episode 2. For now, I'm out. I will see you all in the next video. Bye.